silent. I arrived in the village just before dusk. It had taken 5 hours by bus from the city, followed by nearly 2 more in a borrowed jeep along narrow, unpaved roads. The landscape in this part of Mexico is beautiful. Red earth, dense groves of mesquite, mountains smudged into the distance. But the closer I got to the village of El Silencio, the more that beauty felt artificial, like scenery painted over something that didn't want to be seen. The request came through official channels. A rural clinic had filed a medical report marked urgent, flagged by an administrator who noticed a disturbing pattern in the text. Over a dozen cases of sudden aphonia, total loss of voice, over a 3-week span. No apparent injury, no illness, no trauma, just silence. I was sent as the investigating physician. The village was small, maybe 60 people, 70 at most. When I pulled in, no one greeted me. No curious children, no idle old men watching from porches. Just rows of sun-bleached buildings and a single church bell that hadn't rung in years. I parked near the square and stepped out. My boots crunched on gravel. That was the loudest sound. I didn't hear birds. I didn't hear dogs. The silence wasn't peaceful. It pressed in. I made my way to the clinic. It was a squat, 2-room structure with cracked plaster and barred windows. The lights inside were off. The door was unlocked. No one was there. A medical file sat open on the desk. The patient's name was crossed out. The diagnosis section was blank. I flipped through others. Same pattern. Dozens of files. All incomplete. All silent. I spent the first night in the clinic. There was a cot, some emergency food, clean water. I wrote initial notes, observed the surroundings, and I listened. That night, I heard something. Not footsteps, not voices, breath. It came in short, subtle intervals, like someone exhaling just past the window. I turned off the lights, pressed my back to the wall, and waited. After a while, the breath faded, not into silence, but into something stranger. Whispers, but not from a voice. The next day, I met one of the villagers, an old woman, no taller than my chest, watching me from the corner of a nearby alley. She didn't speak, just raised one hand and pointed to her throat, then to the sky. I tried to communicate, but she shook her head, not in frustration, in resignation. Later, I saw others, all silent. They didn't avoid me, but they didn't greet me either. No nods, no waves. They moved slowly, deliberately, like everything was underwater. And none of them spoke, not even in whispers. By the second day, I noticed something else. Their mouths. They barely opened them, even when smiling or chewing or sighing, as though the muscles had atrophied from disuse. I attempted a basic exam on a teenage boy who seemed willing. He let me shine a light into his mouth, check his throat. Vocal cords, normal. No swelling, no paralysis. He could hum faintly if I asked, but he couldn't form words, couldn't raise his voice, couldn't scream. I asked him to write something, anything. He scribbled 2 words on a sheet of paper. It listens. That night, I dreamt I was speaking in a language I didn't understand. Not nonsense, not gibberish. Words, software, rhythmic, almost soothing. But when I woke, my mouth was dry, my tongue numb. I could still speak, but I didn't try. I didn't want to. The third day, I decided to explore the outskirts. The homes became fewer, the trees denser. At the edge of the village, I found a single-room chapel. No cross, no altar, just rows of benches and a large circular mark on the wall. Not painted, burned, as if something hot had pressed against it from the other side. And at the base of that wall, a scattering of bones. Not animal, small, delicate. Fingers. I left immediately. Back at the clinic, I tried to record an update. I sat down with my recorder and pressed the button. I spoke for 7 minutes. When I played it back, the tape was blank. No static, no sound, just silence. That night, I tried to leave. The Jeep wouldn't start. Battery dead, though it had been fine that morning. I packed my bag and decided to walk. I made it less than a kilometer before I realized I was lost. The road had changed, forked where it hadn't forked before. The signs were gone, the stars unfamiliar. And then I heard it. Not behind me, not beside me, inside me. A voice, not in words, in breath. Like something was imitating speech without understanding it. It filled my chest, my head. My tongue felt wrong. I couldn't swallow. I ran. I don't remember how I got back, only that when I opened my eyes again, I was lying on the clinic cot, my shoes covered in red dust, my recorder in my lap, still blank. I tried to scream. Nothing came out. That was 4 days ago. I can't speak now. I haven't seen another villager since I returned. The doors are closed, the windows covered, but I hear it every night, just outside, just beneath the surface of the silence, not walking, not moving, listening. I know now it's not a virus, not an illness. It's something older, something that feeds not on sound, but on the loss of it, and every voice it takes, it keeps. I can hear them sometimes. Not words, not memories, just impressions. Grief, fear, surrender. They're not screaming. They're not calling for help. They're trying to warn me, but they have no voice left to do it. And soon, neither will I.